Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending today's webinar, Shazam for Radio, Shazam this webinar. With us today is Jason Bailey, the CEO of Sun Broadcast Group. He's also one of the creators and innovators for Shazam for Radio. Today's session is going to be recorded, so feel free to take notes, but you can pay attention as we move along here. And as you have questions that are coming up, best way to submit your questions will be through email at daveh@envisionnetworks.com. You can also do it via Twitter at Envision News or facebook.com/GoEnvisionNetworks. So that's how you should submit questions. And again, at the end of the webinar, we will field those questions and have answers. So with no further ado, let me introduce you to Jason and let him take it from here and tell you all about Shazam for Radio. Jason?
All right, thanks, Dano. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. I'm very excited to be able to spend some time with you and talk to you about this pretty incredible product. So this Shazam for Radio is now about 3 years old. It's being used by groups like Hubbard and Cumulus and Alpha and Entercom over the last several years. Show you uses from big advertisers like Geico and Guinness and Fanatics. We've also had record labels that have jumped on board, Republic Records and Interscope, and we've even done a campaign through the radio for the Grammy Awards. So we'll be able to get into how you use Shazam for Radio for all of that. But first, a very quick introduction of what it is. So the first thing I always like to point out is that this is just the typical Shazam app that's hopefully already on your phone for this webinar. This is no different than the product that Shazam has on every Android and every iPhone out there. It's actually already built into the software, and I'll get into that in a moment. But Shazam likes to segment their products, Shazam for theater, Shazam for television, and Shazam for radio. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows this is just one Shazam app. It's the Shazam app that you all know and love. So what we say about Shazam in general is that, for years they've sort of built themselves on our platform, on radio, right? People will come onto the radio and they'll Shazam a song and they get the lyrics or they get who's singing it and then they leave. And so they've been Shazamming you for years and years and you have no idea who they are. We always say they basically come in the front door, they take what they need, they walk out the back door, and you never get to even say hello to them. Shazam for Radio has changed all that now over the last several years. So basically, we have made it so every single thing on your radio station is now Shazamable. Excluding songs, we're talking about personality, your news reports, your weather forecasts, your sports reports, traffic, contest, every program segment you do, if you do a joke of the day or the drive at 5, what have you, all of your commercials and promotions, literally every piece of audio that your radio station plays can trigger a Shazam experience where people can start to interact with it. And let's show you how that works. So basically, we hear good audio on the radio. I always point out, and the programmers here will appreciate this, it's got to be good, exciting, exclusive content, something that they want to Shazam, something that they feel they're compelled to find out more about. So be that a great interview with a morning show or a great commercial or a promo to win tickets or whatever you can dream up, we can do it. They hear the audio on your radio station. And one other important point to make early on here is that your over-the-air radio is the activator. Yes, it will activate through your podcast. Yes, it will activate through somebody listening on your streaming app. Yes, it'll activate through somebody listening on your website. But we wanted to figure out how we engage people listening to the broadcast that's booming off all the towers across this country right now into people's car, into their home, into their work, and then how to be able to collect valuable data about those people. So here we hear the audio, we use Shazam, they Shazam that audio just like they would a song, and instantly within seconds it pops up on your phone, some experience that goes along with that audio. The listener enjoys that interactive content. Remember, this can be happening while they're live on the air. So you can be interacting with them during live content, whether it's a game that your morning show is playing, or the drive at 5 and they can sort of vote for the next song. This is all live while it happens. And then as people are walking through that interactive content, we're gathering data on them for you, which we'll share with you towards the end of the webinar today. But we use that interactive content to bring them where you want them to go. So rather than telling them your website and your Facebook and your phone number and your address and all these things, they can get it all on their screen, and you can bring them where you want them to go for that particular piece of content. Maybe something you're doing, you want to drive them to your Facebook page. So then we just instantly bring them over to your Facebook page. Maybe you want to have them open your app to extend the experience, and we can do that. So we can put as much or as little in that content page as possible. And then you use those analytics and that data that we gathered. And remember, we're gathering that on people that are listening to your terrestrial broadcast, that regular free broadcast that's going off your tower right now. And then you can use all of that data to start creating the next piece of audio, or the next piece of content, or to use it to find out music data and what people are listening to, et cetera. So we're able to really get some robust analytics to feed back to you. So let's talk very quickly about the power and size of Shazam. 175 million users here in the US, over 1 billion downloads worldwide of that app. Every single month, there's over 3 million people that join the Shazam platform. 26 million of them are active every month. That means every single month across America, 26 million unique people are playing around and using Shazam. And every single day, we're getting over 5 million Shazams across this country. I mentioned it earlier that Shazam is even built in natively into your iPhone. So all you have to do is say, hey, Siri, Shazam this. Or if you have an Android phone, okay, Google, what's that song? And Shazam is already built into those platforms. You won't get the robust built-out experiences, but you'll at least get what you're listening to. I'm listening to the Drive at 5 on WXYZ, or I'm listening, to this interview with Katy Perry on WABC kind of thing. And so you also should mention quickly that Shazam Beats Shazam is a television show that's on Fox. It's been renewed for 2 seasons now. And of course, everywhere that Shazam is, this works. So if it's on your iPad, on your computer, on your Apple Watch, on any smart device, wherever Shazam is, everything works with what we're talking about here today. Let's talk very quickly that you can look across the country and just see some of the active users and the amount of Shazams across the country. We pulled a sampling here for you of some large markets and some small markets, but everywhere from Boston with over 2.5 million monthly Shazams to San Francisco with almost 4 million Shazams every single month. And then even down to something like a market like Chattanooga, where every single month there's over 200,000 Shazams with 40,000 unique active users in that market. So we have data for every single DMA, every single market across the country that we can share with you following the webinar. If you wanted to, write in and ask, we're happy to share that data with you. So why Shazam for radio? I mentioned it already. This is a way for you to find out what content your listeners are engaging with the most, who they are and where they're from, right? For now, we've always been able to just say, well, we have a group of 18 to 34-year-olds listening, and based on our research, they like this song or they like this content. Now you're going to finally get to be able to see who they are, what they like, where they're from, what neighborhoods they're from around your radio station, how they interact with your content, how they interact with your client's brand. So when did they Shazam in on that interview that your morning show was doing? What triggered them to Shazam at that moment? Or at what point in your client's commercial did they find, now's the time, I want something? We do this a lot with music, so we can tell you when people are sort of Shazamming into a song, right? So we can figure out what the hook is and when we should, what we should use in a promo. And so now we can do that with every piece of content on your radio station. What triggers their reaction and why? And then throughout the process, as we mentioned, we collect very valuable data. I threw a few bullet points here, but there is no data we can't collect from this product. How long they spend in the campaign, how long they watch videos that may be in your experience, their demographic data. We've got all kinds of spending habits on those people that we can overlay by your region, by your state or market. Behavioral data, not just what they're doing on your station, but what they're doing outside of your radio station. The moment somebody Shazams a piece of content using Shazam for radio on your radio station, you own that mobile device forever. So we can go back and we can pull data on those people at any time, 6 months from now, a year from now, or a week from now to find out what they're doing today as compared to what they were doing last week. And I'll show you an example of that coming up. So let's talk about how we use Shazam as a programming tool. Couple of things here that we do it on the network side. We make all of our content Shazamable, not just our advertisers, but in this case, we have a countdown show that we've made totally Shazamable. So he does contests and things throughout the show, and you can Shazam those contests during the show. And you get a little extra content. You get to see who the artist is before he announces it on the air. You get to win prizes. We hide content in the show, so from time to time, he'll just sort of bring up that there'll be some hidden goodies in the show if you Shazam in the next half hour. And somewhere in that moment of the show, we create an experience that people Shazam and it pops up with some giveaway. In the case of our Country Fried Mix show, we do live appearances with him. And so we use watermarks at those live appearances so that you can Shazam, an event that we're at a conference or, at a listener event, in our case, at an advertiser event, and you can actually Shazam at the event and not just on our radio station. So some of the things here that we've listed, a few that I'll point out, but, appearance locators, if you're going to be somewhere and you've got a client or you've got a DJ that's going to be appearing somewhere, you can create those locators and people can get driving directions right to your DJ. Obviously, we can get them to download your app, drive them to all your digital property. We can connect directly into your contesting system and a whole bunch more that we'll show you here. As a sales and advertising tool, same thing. We've got so many ways that we can engage your audience based on an advertisement that's playing. So some exclusive Shazam only coupons. So, your client's ad is playing on the radio, Shazam now to win 20% off, or an exclusive coupon for our Shazam listeners. And, maybe it's a $5 off a purchase or a free set of tires or whatever it could be. We can show you location finder. So when they Shazam that Subway commercial, I'll show you the nearest Subway to that person's phone. Sign up for rewards programs. We can get people to get in store and activate with a coupon in store, integrate social media. And then we also create lots of games and animations and puzzles so that we can get people engaged in the experience. And I'll explain why in just a moment when I show you some of the data. It's not just to have fun and have people playing puzzles. It's to really get them engaged with your client's brand and with your brand. Here's just a very quick, I'm not going to go through every bullet point here. You'll be able to see this again in the recording of the webinar, and we're happy to share all this with you. And we've got more data points on this, but we dig very deeply into the behaviors of our Shazammers. So imagine walking in now to your local agency and talking about your local McDonald's buy or Subway buy or Starbucks buy. You can make those spots Shazamable in your market, or you can just walk in your market and say, listen, look at the people that are using Shazam on my radio station in the last 30 days, 1 in 2 Shazammers in our market have been in a McDonald's. 1 in 3 have been into a Starbucks. And this goes on and on. I mean, we've got every major brand that we can share with you. This is good data that you can bring to those advertisers as you start sharing the Shazam product to them. And we've done it here for shopping as well. We've got it for every category you can imagine. But how many are interested in movies, in fast food restaurants, in books? The last time somebody's been in a Ray-Ban store or an Armani store, and that goes on and on. We can give you all kinds of brands. So again, it's not just the Shazam features that we'll be talking about. We can layer all this data on top of that so that you can see where your Shazammers are going, so that you can bring that real data back on your listeners to your advertisers and show them the proof is in the pudding. Here is where these people are shopping. Here is where they're eating. I have the screen up, and this is, a lot of stations are using this across the country, so many of these aren't something that we did here at Sun on the national level. I thought it was more important to show you what radio stations all over this country are using this for on the sales side. So you see there's a comedy club at a Toyota dealership, a Six Flags, WHUR in DC uses it for King's Dominion every year, a water park. And Modelo, there's a distributor in Arizona through our friends at Hubbard down there. He will not put an ad campaign on the air in Phoenix, Arizona, unless it's Shazamable. So again, you can see the Phoenix Zoo is in there as well, and you've got all kinds of different advertisers. And we've done it all. We've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of advertisers and case studies that you can bring right out. You don't have to sell this too much to anybody anymore. You can say, listen, you've got this business. Here are other businesses that have done it. Here are some of the experiences we've built, and here's the results from it. So we've got all of that we can bring back to you to help you sell this to your clients directly. Very quickly, some of the features, and there's a few on this screen. I always start with this screen, and we've got a lot. There are 3 here that I'm excited about as a former programmer. The first one is sharing. So everything that we make Shazamable, every piece of content, whether it's a commercial or your weather forecast or your news report or that interview that your morning show is doing, everything is shareable. So the minute somebody Shazams it, not only can they share the experience that they're playing around in, they can share the audio. So it's no longer, hey, you should hear what I'm listening to on the, what I heard on the radio this morning. It's listen to what I'm listening to right now. And because Shazam heard that audio, it's baked into the experience. So that person who can't even hear your radio station because maybe they're not listening at work, or maybe they're not even in the city at the moment, they're listening to you now. So that audio is being shared anywhere in the world. We talked about couponing. Another one that excites me is the reminder feature here. Let's say you've got a promotion here. We've got something that was modeled out for a station in Boston where you tuned in at 8:20, 11:20, et cetera, to win tickets to Pearl Jam. So here we can create a little reminder. They push that little guitar pick, and it sets a reminder in their calendar, in their native calendar on their iOS or Android device. And so that at 8:20 a.m., it pops up like the meeting request you got today for our webinar. And it will say, hey, don't forget to turn into 92.9 to win your Pearl Jam tickets. Imagine that. We can send them an alert to remind them to tune into that contest, or to your advertiser's promotion, or your appearance somewhere, or to a sale happening for your advertiser. And then the last that really excites me is the replay feature. This is like DVR for radio. Because Shazam heard that audio to make it Shazamable, it lives in the experience. So every single thing we do, no matter what the content is, whether it's an ad or programming content, you can instantly replay it right on your phone. And that lives in your phone in the Shazam app until you physically go in and delete it. A few other things that we've done, and you can see hopefully some of this movement is happening across the screen. We do animations, we do live surveys and scratch offs, and we can use the gyroscope in your phone to make, in this case, we made a Dr. Pepper glass fill. We've got a real cool one that we did for Mercedes-Benz. I'd love to play that for you now. And so if you have your Shazam app open, if you don't, I'll give you a second to open it, and then just hit your listening button on your Shazam app. I'm going to play the audio here for this Mercedes-Benz commercial, and I'll play it for just a few seconds so that you can capture this. And again, if you don't right away, don't worry about it, because we'll send this around and you'll have that audio to be able to do this at your own leisure. But I wanted to show you what happens on your phone when we make a regular Mercedes-Benz spot Shazamable.
Over the last century, one symbol has become synonymous with automotive innovation, beauty, and performance. But for a Mercedes-Benz driver...
And so I'm going to stop there. Again, if you didn't get it, don't worry. We'll send this around so you can. So this is a typical 30-second Mercedes-Benz commercial. And if you did get the experience, you see what happens. That audio launched an experience right on your phone, live and in real time. We've got the dealer's inventory plugged right into the Shazam experience, whatever specials that they're offering at that moment. We even have their social media all built in, live and in real time. And then if you look down at the bottom of your screen, there's one that says 360 Drive. Imagine saying to your listeners, an exclusive for our listeners only, get behind the wheel of the new Mercedes S-Class before anybody else. And you can move your phone around and look on the floor and look at the dashboard. You can even use your finger if you want it. If you don't want to move your phone, just scroll your finger around. And in this case, this Mercedes-Benz happens to be video. So we can do a live 360 around live moving video. Imagine on a programming side, hide something on the wall of your studio and say, listen, Shazam us now, and somewhere on the studio walls is the clue to win. Do a scavenger hunt for your advertisers. Anything you can dream, we can do. And so we have so many of these things that we can share with you to explain all these features, like the scratch off. You can hide a little a coupon underneath or what have you. But you can see that just instantly brings that radio commercial to life. And again, why do we do it? We just took a 30-second Mercedes-Benz commercial and we engaged you for another minute, minute and a half, 2 minutes with that brand. That's got to be valuable to your advertisers. And then for programmers here, imagine taking them from a simple promo or a simple feature on your radio station and then engaging them with your brand when that's off the air and done. You're in a commercial break now and they're still playing around, or they're in the middle of a song and they're playing around with your brand. And now your brand lives in their phone forever.
So we'll pause for a second here, and we're coming up close to the end of our webinar, but there's still time to submit questions, so you can email it, you can send it via Twitter or Facebook. One question, Jason, maybe you want to address right now, comes from Kelly. When those local Shazamable experiences are being created, who's creating that? Is the station creating that, or is that something that you guys are creating as part of the service?
So everything that you've seen so far is created by our team in-house. We have a team of designers and coders. So when we built this product with Shazam, we actually built the backdoor into their system. So everything is done primarily through us. We have a dashboard, which I'll flip through very quickly towards the end of the seminar to show you. You just log in, you put the start date and the end date, you put as much information as you have time for, and then our designers will go either onto your website or your client's website. We'll start lifting all the graphics, we'll start building everything out, and the dashboard on the Shazam for Radio website that we'll send around is basically like the Domino's things. You can see that your experience is being created and now it's being tested. And you kind of watch this thing until it's ready to go on the air. And then that dashboard links as soon as it goes live. And all of the data collection happens live and on your screen for you as well. So we handle all of that for you. It's a very good question. Let's zip along quickly, and we're almost done here. I'm going to just show you one campaign we did for AMP FM in LA. It was a Kanye West promotion sponsored by Jeep. We did this, it was just over the course of a weekend. It was a Saturday, Sunday, and it was the first thing that they had ever made on their radio station that was Shazamable. In this case, they got over 4,000 Shazams. We show how many unique users. Look at the time spent on this experience. A 30-second promo to win Kanye West tickets. And this is not including the time that they entered their name to win these tickets. They spent 1 minute and 51 seconds inside the Shazam screen playing around with all the games we built. There was a Jeep builder in there. There's a Jeep locator in there to locate your nearest Jeep dealer. We got all the age breakdowns, the day parts, and we even were able to then dig into their phone and tell you what they do. And I know that sounds creepy, but that's unfortunately what all these social platforms do. So what are they? Compared to a typical Shazam user, how many more buy clicks and stream clicks and YouTube views and shares do they have? This is based on the people that Shazam that Kanye contest. Then in 2018, we pulled those same people again to see how active they were online. 10,000 more buy clicks, 8,000 more YouTube clicks than the typical Shazam user. So we've got a very engaged Shazammer Shazamming that contest. And then we even looked at their music. What were the top tracks in their iTunes? What were the top artists in their iTunes when they Shazam that Kanye concert back in 2016? And then at the end of 2017, we pulled it again. What were their favorite songs? What were their favorite artists? So imagine every piece of content you use is an avenue into that person's life to find out all this interesting data so that you can start to build your programming logs, to build your music logs, to figure out what you're going to talk about on the air, etc. We can tell you the ads they're Shazamming, the TV shows they're Shazamming. And then very quickly, everybody loves a heat map. I hope this works. This is that Kanye contest over a 10-second period. So we're going to be able to show you the zip codes and the towns and cities of every single person that Shazams your experience. A fun one that we share here, this is a one we did for Fanatics, and I want to just run through this quickly. This was a national contest that we ran for the NCAA for Fanatics, and you could win tickets to a college ball game. The bright red spots you see on your screen are where the games were running with this Fanatics commercial. All the light blue and light yellow were people sharing that contest across the country with friends who weren't even able to listen to that radio station. So again, when you create great, rich, interactive content, people want to share it. They want to show people. You should hear this interview and look at what Katy Perry did. And I don't know why I keep using Katy Perry, but look at what Keith Urban did during this interview behind the scenes in this video. You'll never believe it. You give them exclusive content and they're sharing it across the board. Here very quickly, and then we come to the end of our webinar, is just a quick snapshot of that project management software that we've built. You click on New Campaign, you fill out your campaign statistics, when it's going to run, you're immediately assigned your own developer here at Sun. You're assigned, every radio station gets their own project manager. They work with you and only you for the life of the product. So you get to know them. You get to, whether you call their cell phone or you email them, they're right there to be able to do things on the fly for you. And then you can watch that experience be built. And then as it's running, here was one we did with Drake for a radio station. This was also AMP in LA, as a matter of fact. The statistics are put right on your screen for you. So everything you can see, the day parts, what they clicked on, how many times they shared it, all of that stuff. Imagine for your advertisers, we can tell you if somebody clicked the blue Honda Civic or the red Honda Civic, right? Or we can tell you if they looked at tires or if they looked at an oil change. Or we can tell you if they watched Drake's videos or if they listened to the music in the experience. All that data we can get back to you. And so the key takeaways today for Shazam for Radio is it's totally turnkey. We know how busy your days are. So all you do is say, hey, we've got this promo we want to make Shazamable, or we've got this advertiser we want to make Shazamable. And we build, manage, launch everything. The campaign support is from start to finish. So from creation all the way through the data, there's no restrictions. You can have us build anything you want. I always say, if you can dream it, we can build it. If you want to do a scratch off, you want to do a video, you want to build your contest page right in, no matter what it is, we can build it in. And then we get you all the analytics on every single solitary thing we do. And you can make all of your local campaigns Shazamable. Let's say you've got a regional campaign running on more than one radio station. We can make each one of those individually Shazamable using the same audio. If it streams on your website or on your app, it's already Shazamable as well. So everything we do covers all of the audio that you're pushing out, no matter what the platform. And that's Shazam for Radio. So I thank you very much for letting me address it today. And if there's any other questions, Dano, I'm happy to answer them.
All right. Well, there's a lot of questions. Unfortunately, though, we're running long on time, so I'm just going to ask the first two that came in. The first one is from Susan. Jason, she wanted to know, how can we run a live read spot and have it be a Shazamable experience? So I'm assuming what she's asking is if it's a live read for an advertiser or a contest, how does that work in terms of making that Shazamable?
So all we have to do with that is, if you've got a music bed that you use under a typical, let's say, you've got your local mattress dealer or what have you, we take that music bed and we make it Shazamable. That way, no matter what the content is over that bed, Shazam hears the bed underneath and it returns the result on that. If you've got news, weather, traffic, maybe you're using your sounder, we just take your sounder and that's what triggers the response. And that way, no matter what the traffic is 50 times a day, we're still producing that result on the air. So it is possible to have live content and still make them Shazamable.
Awesome. And then last question, and we'll have to end on this just because of time. How long does it take to create a Shazamable experience from start to finish? And when they give it to your designers and you guys go through the process, what's the average length in terms of getting something created and turned around and on air?
Once we get you into the system and get all of your station assets and typical advertisers, it's very, very quick. From the start, it could be a day or two for us to gather all the assets. I would say 2 days probably typically. But again, if it's an advertiser that's always doing this for you, if it's a promo that you're, a contest that you run often, if it's a feature on your morning show that you want to make Shazamable, and we have all those assets in our system, we can actually do things within a matter of hours. There's also ways with live content, so news, traffic, weather, that we can make those so that they change constantly throughout the day and they don't actually take much time at all. But typical campaign, when you first start with us, if we've got to go to your client's website or to your website, gather all those assets, logos, your morning show bios, things like that, it will take a couple of days. But once we're kind of on cruise control with you, we have a whole suite of all of your assets, and we just crank them out. So it can take a matter of just a few hours.
Fantastic. Jason Bailey, CEO of Sun Broadcast Group, thank you very much. I want to thank everyone else for attending. Again, this has been recorded, so please watch your email. We will send you a copy of the whole presentation so that you can play it again for yourself and review your notes, as well as pass it on to others. Please watch your email, watch PR, watch everything else out there for the next Coffee with Envision. Thank you all.